Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to show you a bleaching technique. This is old school, so I thought we'd take something from a long time ago and I'll show you how to do this. If you stay tuned for the next video, I'll show you a different way to do this as well. So I'm using Gina's Mandala Maker, which is a great stamp set for something like this, but florals will work really well for this as well. So to start with, on my cardstock, and this is Stampin' Up! Cardstock, I'm going to take a anti-static powder tool just to get rid of any oils and that on the cardstock, and then I'm going to use a one of the sentiments from the stamp set and some Versamark ink, which is like a clear sticky ink. I want to say it's like a glue, but it's not glue. And then I'm using Nouveau's black embossing powder, but any black embossing powder would do. If you don't have black embossing powder, you'd need to use a stamp positioning tool, so something like a Misty or Tim Holtz has a stamp platform. And what you would do is you would first still prep your cardstock the same way, stamp it in the color that you want, and then re-stamp it with the Versamark ink. And that way you'll have the color you want, but you'll also have the stickiness of the Versamark ink. And then you can use a clear embossing powder over the top. So I've heat set the sentiment, and now I've re-prepped the cardstock just in case there's oils in my hands, and with the powder tool. And I'm going to take 3 different designs that are in this stamp set, and I'm just randomly stamping them. Stamp them off the page. It makes it look like you've cut this out of a bigger piece of cardstock kind of thing. This is a great way to make your own pattern papers if you want to make your own patterns and backgrounds and things like that. Now you can leave it like this if you want that sort of tone on tone look, but obviously we are going to be bleaching this today, so you need to heat set it. Whenever you're working with like a bleaching technique, you need to heat set your images, and heat emboss them, sorry, that's what I mean. So just getting these heat set now. Very easy to do, very easy. But for some reason, if you don't heat set them, the bleach will react with the ink, whether it's like a stays on type ink, like a permanent ink, or whether it's a watercolor ink, it just reacts. So it's this is why you've got to heat emboss it. It seems to be okay with the embossing powder when it's heat set, but yeah, not so much if you don't have that. So this is all nicely heat set and all shiny. So that makes a great background, just like that. But we're going to take it a step further. So I was just checking to see if I could get another one in there. And obviously not. And I'm just putting my powder away because, knowing me, I'll knock it all over the place, and it's just, well, that'll be a disaster. And then also, because I've used my powder tool, I'm just using a microfiber cloth on my surface, on my desk, and on the cardstock as well. So I have a little bowl here and my dedicated paintbrush for bleaching, which I've labeled, and I'm just picking up some of the bleach and just painting it on. That's as difficult as it gets. Honestly, it's the easiest technique ever, and it's so effective, and you'll see it'll develop over time, so you can let this air dry, or you can use a heat tool. Obviously, if you use your heat tool to speed things up, you need to just be aware that you don't want to reactivate your embossing powder that you've already melted, so just keep the air moving over it, and I'll show you that in a bit, because I get a bit impatient. so I try and speed things along. But I'm just going around painting in. For the most part, you can see where you're going, because it looks, I mean, it's bleach, it's not water, but it looks like water over the top because you can see where the moisture is. But once, because you can go over this more than once as well, so once you've been over it once, it's a little more difficult to see where you've been. But like I say, because of the moisture, as if it's like water, even though it's not, you can see where you are, because it sort of shines a bit. And well, you guys know I don't do straight lines. I mean, my sentiment was squonk on this one too, but whatever. And I also don't do, obviously don't stay in the lines. So just be aware, if you want to be more precise with this, just go slower. That's what I would say. Especially if you're working with really detailed florals or something like that, just go a little slower, because everywhere that bleach touches that cardstock, it will react. So I actually use that to my advantage in a minute, and create some more background with it. But it's so easy to do, like really easy. So you should be able to see already the reaction between the cardstock and the bleach. I'm just using the bleach on the brush and just putting dots all over the background, or sort of, let's say, arty dots. They're not real dots, they're not round by any means. They're just like little arty dots. I'm gonna go with that. But what you'll also find is that depending on the cardstock, now I think it's something to do with color core or something. I don't know the science behind it, but I'm assuming that if it doesn't have a color core, it won't necessarily work, because obviously if it's got a white core, then this may not work. I don't know, I honestly don't know. But my thing is that I just grab a piece of cardstock and try it. Some will work, some won't. I don't know the science behind it. So, and I definitely don't look back at you know, when I'm buying cardstock, I don't sort of look into, oh, does this have color core, or is what, you know, I don't worry about things like that. So for me, this is just, you know, a case of grabbing some cardstock, some colored cardstock. Darker cardstock works better, so you could try all your darker cardstocks. Lighter ones will work. I mean, it'll do, if it's going to work, it will work, but it will be much more subtle and much softer. Whereas for me, I like this more of an impact kind of thing. So for me, I like using it on the darker cardstock. But so far, this is, I don't know if I said, but I think this is Cajun Craze Stampin' Up! Cardstock, and it's working really lovely. The nice thing about doing the bleaching is that you can then see other undertones of color within those papers coming out. So this one obviously has more yellows and oranges, which makes sense because it's kind of that color anyway. But it's one of those colors of cardstock that I don't really know what to do with, but I really like it. So yeah. So now that I've done that and it's dried a bit, I am going to just stick this to a piece of black cardstock. I thought that brings in the, you know, all the black ink and everything else, embossing powder, sorry. And this is it's a very skinny border. It's about 1/8 inch. I just thought that was nice little highlight. And then I've actually got, this piece is actually smaller than my normal, so I've got a white, nice big white border, which of course, like I said, I don't do straight lines, so I stuck this on. It's straightish on the card, but it's a little over to the right hand side, but whatever. It's just to give you the idea, but I really like this card. It turned out way better than I thought it was going to turn out, and just so you guys know, I am so glad you're in my circle. Those of you who know me, whether you're my crafty friends online, whether you are my family who I adore, or my friends, I'm so grateful for all of you. So I hope this was helpful, and I hope you guys give this a try. Stay tuned for tomorrow's video, because I will be showing you a way, if you are either allergic or don't like bleach, stay tuned for that. I have another way of doing this. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this, and I will see you next time, guys. Thanks, bye.